Broadway beat. Broadway. Broadway beat. Broadway beat. Broadway beat. Broadway. Listen to the Broadway beat. Broadway makes you wanna move your feet. Everybody's tapping into everything that's happening on Broadway beats. Broadway beats. Broadway beats. Broadway beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, our weekly half-hour behind-the-scenes look at the very best of the New York theater on Broadway and beyond. This week we kick off the first show of our 2005-2006 season. It's jam-packed and star-studded. Two-time Tony Award winner Bernadette Peters will sing from her newest CD entitled Sondheim, etc., etc., Bernadette Peters live at Carnegie Hall, the rest of it. We'll also take a peek at Golden Globe Award-winning singer-songwriter Amanda McBroom's new off-Broadway musical, A Woman of Will. And then the totally charming Brooke Shields is here to talk about stepping into the role of Roxy Hart in the Broadway hit revival of Kander and Ebb's classic musical, Chicago. But we start things off by giving you a look at a musical that didn't quite make it. It closed on Broadway after just 49 performances. It didn't catch on with critics or audiences. It's called Lennon. It's based on the life and music of one of the greatest rock icons of all time, John Lennon. 9 actors, 5 men and 4 women of varying ages, including Will Chase and Terrence Mann, played Lennon and took you through his life from the Beatles to the Bed-Ins, from his musical partnership with Paul McCartney to his life partnership with Yoko Ono. We caught up with Miss Ono and the cast at their opening night celebration. I know that many people in the past have asked you to do a musical on John Lennon's music, and you always said no. What made you say yes this time?
Because of the idea of it. It's a fantastically beautiful idea, because John was always saying, we're all one. And he hated racial prejudice. He hated a situation of the battle between the sexes and all that. So, you know, this is like all very beautiful. We're putting by gender and mixed race situations.
Now, what has it been like for you during the rehearsal process when you sort of saw your life with John sort of come to life all over again? How did that make you feel?
Well, sometimes it's a little bit too much. And I think, oops, I'm getting not very happy about watching it or something. But usually I keep my sort of objective professional position. And, you know, it's been just a very exciting and interesting time of work.
I was into him and the Beatles for, you know, when they first came out. After the Beatles broke up, I really didn't, I kind of lost sight of him as a musician, but not him as a politician and what he did with his celebrity and how he used it for a bully pulpit to create a voice for young people and, you know, change the way people think about, you know, a generation. More that than his music. But now that I've been doing the show, I've had a chance to really kind of get into his music, and it's just been, you know, marvelous.
How would you describe him?
Well, he's just a thinking man, you know. He was always thinking, always saying the things that mattered most to him, and because he was so famous, those things, you know, came to the fore. So he really had a chance to make an impact, and he did. He said things about peace and war that people weren't really willing to say at the time, and he was a brave soul and used his fame to do great things. So I think what we'd like to get across is the idea that those ideas aren't dead, and I think we're doing it.
I've been a Beatles fan and John fan since I was 5, so I've kind of been doing John since I was 5 years old. But I think right when we got to New York, I started, because then that's when I started to get the lion's share of the changes and the monologues and became kind of the narrator. So then I was like, okay, I really got to wear this, wear this costume, being John. And I think that was when I did it, yeah.
I knew the Beatles music very well. I was actually named after a John Lennon song that's on the White Album, the Beatles White Album. And so I knew his sort of more popular solo stuff, but not his more obtuse solo stuff. And it's just been great to lyrically understand him and see how autobiographically he writes. It's really quite something. It's not like a jukebox musical where they take songs that exist in one format and put them into a completely creative plot. It's this thing, he wrote about his life, so we sing the songs of his life.
So keep on playing those fine games forever, raising the spirit of peace and
In December 1996, two-time Tony Award winner Bernadette Peters made her highly anticipated solo debut at Carnegie Hall under the direction of Richard J. Alexander. Some of that magical evening was released on CD and became an instant success for Angel Records. So now they've released the rest of the concert on a new CD entitled Sondheim, etc., etc., Bernadette Peters Live at Carnegie Hall, the rest of it. We caught up with Bernadette and she serenaded us as only she can do.
Thanks for everything we did. Everything that's past. Everything that's over too fast. None of it was wasted. All of it will last. Everything that's here and now, and us together. It is marvelous to know you, and it's never really through. Crazy business, this life we live in. Can't complain about the time we're given, with so little to be sure of in this world. We have a moment.
My producer, Richard Alexander, said, let me just put it together for you. And then I would say, oh, well, where is, unexpected song? But we had to make a choice, and it's on, and what's a little to be sure of, one of my favorites. And there was only so much I could fit on the first CD. So while I was in Gypsy, I was thinking, gee, that night was such a great night. I'd love to put out a companion piece. And we thought, is there enough there? And there was. And people would come to me and they'd say, did you ever record that version of Faithless Love? And I would say, well, I didn't record this version of it, so now it's there. Only Boy is there. Unexpected Song, the only version of that is on the original album. So that night it rang out so beautifully. So I'm so happy that we're doing. We have Peter. I Never Thought I'd Break. Peter Allen's song with Dean Pitchford, and then Other Lady, Leslie Gore and Ellen Weston, and then I Believe in You, which is the song that Steve Sondheim gave me for that night especially.
Well, let's talk about that song. How did that come about, and when did he give it to you, and how did you feel?
When I spoke to him about the evening, I said, I'm doing an evening, when I was going to be at Carnegie Hall, I said, what could I do? What could I bring to New York? What would they love to hear? And I thought, I need to devote the whole second act to Steve Sondheim. So I spoke to him and I told him that, and then he said, well, you know, do what you want, put some twists on things. And then I said, is there any song that you might have? And he said he did. He had, it's actually called They Asked Me Why. And it's a song that no one ever recorded, and he gave me that song for that night, so I opened the second act with it. I think there are lyrics that I need to hear when I sing his songs, when I sing Move On. I think his life lessons are really important. I think No One Is Alone is a really important thought. His idea is that really, when you're feeling that way, there is somebody somewhere in the world, someplace that's feeling exactly what you're feeling. It's a very comforting thought. Children Will Listen is so true. They're kind of those songs to me are very healing, and I think it's something that I love feeling. And when I was in Sunday in the Park, I used to love to get to Move On every night because it was kind of like meditating. It was great.
Guide them then step away. Children glisten. Tamper with what is true, and children will turn if just to be free. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. Children will listen. Children will listen.
Golden Globe Award-winning singer-songwriter Amanda McBroom first burst upon the scene with her #1 hit song, The Rose, which of course was made famous by Bette Midler in the film of the same name. Well, now Miss McBroom is back in New York with her new off-Broadway musical entitled A Woman of Will, co-written by Joel Silberman. A Woman of Will, which is playing at the Darrell Roth Theater, tells the story of a woman named Kate, played by Miss McBroom, who is a writer in crisis trying to finish the lyrics of a new Broadway-bound musical based on The Merchant of Venice. While facing the demands of a deadline, her marriage, and her future, Kate looks at Shakespeare's leading ladies for guidance.
There's Aeschylus and Euripides and Sophocles, Aristophanes, Corneille, Racine, Molière, or Chekhov, or Ibsen, or Williams, or Gibson, or Manet, or Miller, O'Neill, and John Ware. I want words, I want language, the consonant, the vowel. Those who dangle their participles will make me throw in the towel. But ask who I admire most, who has the greatest skill, the one who inspires my humble desires and turns me on his will. Mr. Shakespeare, I need the
I was the only time I've ever been to Martha's Vineyard. I was in an art gallery in Martha's Vineyard. This is maybe 5 years ago now. And I saw a painting on a wall of a little girl in kind of a Victorian gown standing in the middle of a river. And I looked at it and I said, that's Ophelia before everything went to pieces. And the image stayed in my head. And so I went home and I wound up writing this song about what if Ophelia had known, would she have chosen to do what she did? And I had such a good time with that I said, well, maybe I'll write another song from another Shakespeare play, because I'm very fond of Shakespeare. And then I wrote one with my friend Michelle Browerman about Gertrude, Hamlet's mother. And then I was working with Joel, and we were doing some concerts, and I showed them to him, and he said, these are terrific. And then he said, let's write some more. So we wrote a few more, and then he said, stop, this isn't a concert, this is a play. Let's write a play. And so we started we had a few songs, and then we got inspired and we wrote ourselves a one-act, which has now become a two-act. And several ladies have gone out the window, as other ladies we had to wave goodbye to Cleopatra, but we brought Catherine the Shrew in, and so we've built it over the past 4.5 years. We've built this play.
You think you're in control when you're completely unprepared. Suddenly love wraps his fiery wings around you, whispers he's so glad he found you, wonders where you've been. Suddenly love opens up that rusty door to places like forevermore, to someone that you were before. It's clear again, you're here again.
Honesty, heart honesty. We are in each other's spirits. We live inside each other. We're best friends. We've been best friends since we met. I think that's what collaboration ultimately is about, is the ability to drop everything that life has on the outside and just come to the honesty of what it is between the two of us. And we just make each other laugh so much. I mean, we laugh until we can't laugh anymore. That really makes a big difference. I also think we're on the same heart page. We both come from the place that the heart is the most important organ, and that the brain, when it's informed by the heart, does amazing things. We're not analytical people first and then heart people. We're heart people first, and that informs everything about us. And it informs what she writes as a lyricist, it informs what I write as a musician, it informs what we write as playwrights. It all starts with that, so we have to communicate that. And I think that's one of the reasons this collaboration has always been so strong. The other one is, I can't tell you where it begins and where it ends. I know she wrote the words, I know I wrote the music, but when we wrote the play, I can't tell you whose is what now. We have no idea. We have been through it so many times, and we find so many things with each other. And we've been finding things the last 14 days in this room. We're still working on the play for fun. Just like, oh no, could we do that? Okay, fine, boom, boom, boom. And I think the secret to collaboration is the word yes. If we say yes every day, collaborations work. When people say no first, then collaborations, I think, have a problem. We say yes every day.
This is the first time I've done songs and story and acting, and yes, she's me, but no, she's not. And there's a whole bunch of her life situation that is not my life situation. So it's been a while since I've done a play. And that was one of the other fun things about coming to New York, was saying, people know that I have been a cabaret artist. A lot of people don't realize that I started out in theater here, and I'm so happy to be coming back and doing theater here.
No more Mrs. Nice Guy, she's such a dreadful bore. I'm into vivisection, not polishing the floor. When somebody cries out to put somebody's eyes out, I feel a storm arising, Daddy. There's a door, 'cause the bitch is out. And she isn't taking prisoners, no, the bitch is out. And I'm not going back. I pee when I sneeze, I howl at the moon. My moods are swinging like an Ellington tune. There can be no doubt, the bitch is out. The bitch is out. What are you looking at? The bitch is out. Give me that almond joy. The bitch is out.
The colossally charismatic Brooke Shields has won over New York audiences as Rizzo in Grease, Sally Bowles in Cabaret, and last year she took Broadway by storm when she took over the role of Ruth Sherwood in the revival of Wonderful Town. Well, now Brooke is back at the Ambassador Theater, stepping into the role of Roxy Hart in the Broadway hit revival of Kander and Ebb's classic musical, Chicago. Joining Brooke as Velma Kelly is Luba Mason, Christopher McDonald is Billy Flynn, and the newest Mama Morton is Deborah Monk. Joining Brooke for her opening night celebration was none other than Liza Minnelli.
From just some dumb mechanic's wife, I'm gonna be singing Roxy. Who says murder's not an art? You'd say she started with a bang. Roxy.
Brooke was great. She did everything. She sang beautifully, which I didn't know she could sing at all. She danced great. The acting, of course, is wonderful. And she looks divine. I mean, her body looks great. It's really worth going to see her in this. She is really good.
We were there tonight. You know, we were talking about the memories of you doing it when you did it with Cheetah.
Yes.
Do you have memories, when you look back, we have such fond memories of what that time was like for you?
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, just to work with Cheetah and to sing those songs. Those are great songs. It's a great show. It's Fred Ebb's masterpiece. He really did something extraordinary with that show. He caught a thing that was happening in America, which is happening again, which is you're a celebrity suddenly if you do something wrong. You know?
There's just so much to her. I mean, there's you know, she's strong, and yet there's a sweetness, and yet there's a quirkiness to her, and yet she's a fighter and a survivor, but she's not too hard, but she's willing to do whatever it takes to get to the next step, and there's an ambition in her which is very appealing, even though it's at the risk of some integrity.
Final question, the great Kander and Ebb score that you get to sing.
Well, you know, I hope I do it justice. I mean, it's the kind of thing where when you really sit down and think about it, how and why and where the beats are and when, it's all for a reason. And it's brilliant with the choreography and with the story. And I'm just beginning to understand a little bit of it.
I haven't been on Broadway in about 5 years. I think Jekyll and Hyde was the last show that I did. I took over for Linda Eder. So I've been out in Los Angeles, and I got the phone call that they were looking for a new Velma or Roxy, and you know, P.S. I got the job, and I just was so thrilled to come back and do this.
I love your Velma. We've shot all the Velmas, and I just love the blonde Velma.
Thank you. I do too. I was so excited that they were not going to put a dark wig on me. Everybody, that was like one of the first questions everybody asked me. Were they putting a dark wig on you? Is it going to be the B.B. Newirth wig? And I was just like, I hope not. I hope I get to have my own hair.
My Broadway debut, I couldn't be happier. Yeah.
What's it been like working on this? I mean, this is a classic show. I adore this Kander and Ebb show. What's it been like for you working on it?
Well, the cast, the ensemble cast has been in off and on for 5 or 6 years, all of them, most of them, I should say, and they're so welcoming and so kind and so nice. I literally had 9 days to get together and to go on stage, and it was one of the nights I'll never forget. Spotlight in my face, I haven't done that in 20 years. You know, I've started out as an actor on the stage, but spotlight in my face and a microphone, and I'm going, wow. It was a good thing the spotlight wasn't in my face, so I couldn't see anybody out there. I had friends the opening night, but the thespian gods were there, and I remembered everything and did everything right. But now I've eased into it, even after 2 more performances. It was a night and day as far as the confidence level. The first night I think was survival, and right now I really am owning it. I'm really inhabiting the part, so having a great time doing it.
May sound odd, but all I care about is love.
That's what he's here for.
Thanks, girls. Honest to God, all I care about is love.
I'm thrilled to do it, and the lyrics are so wonderful. I just think about Freddie every night I'm in that theater. And also I get to be this great character who's full of herself and full of the world and controls everybody and has a great time. It's a great character, and with this incredible company, fabulous company. So.
And Brooke Shields?
She's adorable. She's so wonderful, and she's wonderful in the show. She's a lovely, lovely, lovely girl. We're lucky to have her.
So what's the one conclusion I can bring this number to? When you're good to mama.
thanks for watching the show. We're going to close out with a look at the hit musical Wicked, which continues to sell out in New York at the Gershwin Theater and is now touring the country. It'll be in Dallas, Texas for the month of October and will be in Houston, Texas for the month of November. So until next time, this is Richard Ridge reminding you, you haven't really lived until you've seen it live. Good night.
Popular. You're gonna be popular. I'll teach you the proper ploys when you talk to boys. Little ways to flirt and flounce. Oh, I'll show you what shoes to wear, how to fix that hair. Everything that really counts to be popular. I'll help you be popular. You'll hang with the right cohorts. You'll be good at sports. Know the slang you've got to know. So let's start, 'cause you've got an awfully long way to go. Don't be offended by my frank analysis. Think of it as personality dialysis. Now that I've chosen to become a ballast or an advisor, there's nobody wiser, not when it comes to popular. I know about popular. And with an assist from me to be who you'll be, instead of dreary who you were, are. There's nothing that can stop you from becoming popular. Lar, la, 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 la. We're gonna make you popular. One short day in the Emerald City. One short day full of so much to do. Every way that you look in the city, there's something exquisite you'll want to visit before the day's through. Just two friends, two good friends, two best friends, sharing one life.